Hi, this is Justine for day 4 of the 12 days of Greene Christmas stories, and this is actually take 2 on day 4 because apparently my phone has decided it's going to be touchy and is going to not record reliably. So hopefully I get through the recording this time and it's actually there when I'm done. So today's story is about Christmas Eve in December of 1976. Specifically in Altamont Springs, December 1976, and relates to the fact that my dad was kind of a notorious Christmas Eve last minute shopper, especially when it came to shopping for my mom. And that year in particular, my dad had taken my sister, my brother, and my brother was an infant at that point. Jason was born in September of 1976, so he really, was a youngin' for Christmas Eve shopping. But we were doing it, and that left my mom alone to get stuff done at the house without anybody around. So specifically, I think mom was playing Santa's helper without any kids in the house. That's my guess. But we were with dad, and we'd been running around, and the Altamont Mall was our last stop on the run. And excuse me a moment, girls, be nice. Stop knocking stuff over. Sorry, little live action mommy there myself to my dogs. And so, what was really interesting about that particular Christmas Eve was, aside from the fact that my dad was a notorious Christmas Eve shopper, and he really enjoyed doing it. Dad, every year, loved Christmas Eve shopping. He actually kind of passed that on to me to a certain extent. Dad never got frustrated with the lines or the people, and I I have the same thing, because to me it's kind of fun, looking at and being part of that energy of people running around and trying to make sure that they've gotten everything that they need for everybody that's important to them. And I like to think the best of it, that's what they're doing, that they're trying to make sure that they have the perfect gifts for the people that are in their life, that make their life complete. So they want to do what they can to make sure that those people are happy on Christmas, or for Hanukkah, or for Yule, or Kwanzaa, or whatever it is that they may be celebrating in December, or heck, even if it's just for birthdays in December, whatever it may be. Or if they're just in the malls or wherever just because, they're just doing something to make somebody else happy. And I like being part of that energy, and so did my dad. So, anyway, Christmas Eve, 1976. Parking lot of the Altamont Mall. And because Dad had Jason's baby seat in the back seat, and Janine was in the back seat, Dad let me sit in the front seat, which I thought was awesome, except for the fact that it was really, really cold. So I had actually balled myself up down on the floorboards of the front seat with my jacket, and I had curled up to try to stay as warm as possible, because the heater in the car decided that was the day to stop working. So it was really cold in the car. It was even colder outside, and I was just freezing to the bone. So wasn't able to see outside, wasn't paying attention to what was going on outside, was curled up in a ball, and we were listening to Christmas carols on the 50s and 60s rock station that Dad loved to listen to. And once we got there, had the fun of trying to get Jason out and into a stroller. And once we got out of the car, of course, as soon as we got out, it started to drizzle rain, and it was really cold. So that was a little bit of a misery, and my poor dad trying to do that with two little girls, a 6.5-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an infant of just a few months. Not the most fun thing for a one parent to try to do, but my dad did make the best of it. And we got in the mall and started running around, shopping like crazy people, just like everybody else. But again, Dad made it fun. Dad made a game out of it, and it was wonderful. I still, the fact that I still remember that night from so many years ago, 40 years ago, actually, to be exact, is, testament to the fact that Dad made it a wonderful, fun evening. But the other thing that makes that night so memorable, towards the end of that evening, when we were finally done shopping, and Janine and I were both, kind of looking like mini packing mules with bags on both hands, and Dad's got bags hanging off the back of Jason's stroller, and Jason, because, babies' arms are too short to carry bags, luckily for them, was totally unencumbered, and seated in a stroller, so wasn't having to walk anywhere, lucky for him. We were making our way towards the exit, and this guy comes running in the door, and he's yelling, "It's snowing! It's snowing!" And what? And Janine looks up at my dad and says, "Daddy, I thought you said it doesn't snow in Florida." My dad says, "Well, it's not supposed to snow in Florida, but stranger things have happened." So we continue heading for the exit, and we get out there and stop because, sure enough, there is snow falling from the sky, and this is amazing to all of us. My dad, being a Florida native, it wasn't like it was the first time we'd ever seen snow. But, Dad had been in the Army, my dad had traveled a lot, he'd seen snow before, but not in Florida. And us girls, it was the first time we had seen real snow live, outside of seeing it on the TV or on a movie screen. So we were like stunned into silence for all of about maybe 60 seconds. And then, without any warning at all to our dad, Janine and I drop our shopping bags at his feet, and we turn around and we run back into the mall like we have been possessed. My poor dad is yelling at us, "Girls, come back, come back!" And we totally ignore him. And now my dad is stuck out there with a baby. He's got two little girls that have run off, and he can't leave. Of course, he can't leave Jason in a stroller outside of the mall. But his 6.5 and his 5-year-old have just run off for the mall, and someone obligingly opened the door for them so they could charge back into the mall. So my poor dad is left out there trying to deal with this situation. What he didn't know, and somehow Janine and I managed to relay to each other without words, was that we needed something to contain snow, because we wanted to take snow home. And as soon as we got in the door, Janine and I paused long enough to say to each other, "We gotta find something to hold snow in." And we agreed that what we needed that for was so that we could bring snow home to Mommy, because Mommy had grown up having snow for Christmas, and wouldn't it be cool if we could give Mommy snow for Christmas? Because she hadn't had snow for Christmas since she had become a mommy and was living in Florida with us. And we wanted to give Mommy snow for Christmas, so it would be like when she was a little girl. So we ran up to the first food vendor that we could find. Luckily, there were food vendors near that particular entrance. And we begged him for 2 cups with lids. And the food vendor, being a nice guy, and I guess figured, 2 little girls, harmless enough request, gave us cups with lids. And we ran back to the door that we had come in through, just as my poor father is trying to back his way in, because he had managed to get all of the bags off the ground that we had dropped onto his arms, or even more on the back of the stroller. And he's coming through the doors kind of like Santa, but with a big black beard instead of a white one. And instead of a sleigh, he had a stroller, and instead of a red-nosed reindeer in the front, he had a red-nosed baby in the stroller. And we get up to him, and we're like, "Look what we have! Look what we have!" And my dad's like, "You have cups? We're gonna get snow for Mommy!" And we go charging out the door, and my dad, my poor dad, stuck in the doorway, half in, half out, trying to now get himself turned back around so that he can follow us back out the door. And it took us about probably a good 10 minutes at least to each get enough snow in the cups for us to be satisfied, because yes, there was snow falling, but it wasn't like it was coming down at a great rate or anything. It was just, you know, it was still snow in Florida. But it was snow. So we each get about a half a cup's worth of snow in our cups. We very, very carefully put our lids on and make sure our lids are sealed so that no snow will get out for the drive home. And we get back to the house, and as soon as Dad stops the car, we're piling out of the car, and we're like, come on, Daddy. We're like, we gotta give this to Mommy now. We gotta go. So Janine and I pile out of the car, and my dad is getting Jason out of the car, and he's leaving everything else in the car for the time being, and we go charging into the house as soon as Dad gets the front door unlocked. We go in and we run and yelling, Mommy! We gotta give you your Christmas Eve gift right now, because that was our tradition. Everybody got one gift for Christmas Eve, and then everything else was Christmas morning, because of course Santa had to come and do his thing Christmas Eve, and then you would open everything else on Christmas morning, because it doesn't make any other sense to do it any other way, right? Of course not. You know, and in our house especially not, because my dad Christian, my mom Jewish, so we had all sorts of interesting traditions that went on, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what this is about. So my mom comes out of the kitchen, and she's like, well, okay, what do you have for me, girls? And Janine and I very, very proudly each present my mom with a white styrofoam cup. There's no writing, there's no glitz, there's no anything, just two plain white styrofoam cups with plastic lids on them that are sloshing a little bit. And my mom takes one in each hand, and she's looking at my dad like, what is this about? And, and I now, as an adult, know the look that was on my dad's face at the time was the just play along, Judy look. So my mom's looking back at my sister and I. What did you get for me, girls? Mommy, we got you snow for Christmas. My mother's, really? How did you get me snow? Well, it was snowing when we were at the mall. So, since you had snow when you were a little girl, we wanted you to have snow for Christmas this year. So we brought snow home for you from the mall. Open it, so you can play with your snow. And my mom, being a trooper, Mom sets the cups down on the table, and she takes the lids off of them. She looks inside to the two cups and sticks fingers from each hand in and splashes them around in the melted snow, and pulls out her fingers and flicks us each in the face with some of the water, as if throwing really, really small snowballs at each of us. And she's like, thank you for my snow, girls. This is the best Christmas gift ever. I love it. You're wonderful. And hugged and kissed each of us, and looked at my dad, and she's like, thank you for my snow, Jerry. I appreciate it. This is the best Christmas gift ever you could have brought home for me, was bringing the girls some snow back. And it's just, it's a wonderful Christmas memory to me. Now as an adult, looking back, because thinking back to it, what that really shows is that one of the things that made my parents such great parents was that they knew the moments where you set aside worrying about, well, this is quote unquote real, or, oh, but we should take this opportunity to introduce them to the science of the situation or the reality of the situation, and just go with the whimsy. Let the whimsy rule. And my dad was just the king of rolling with the whimsy. And my mom learned that from my dad. And we kids, we kids grew up with that. And that was one of the best lessons and best gifts that my dad gave to us kids and my mom, was how to roll with the whimsy. So that is that is my day 4 story and little tidbit for all of you, if there are any, all of you listening or watching these, is don't forget that sometimes you should just roll with the whimsy, because the whimsy is sometimes far more important than the reality of the situation. Because the whimsy sometimes will make your heart light up like you will never believe. So, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll have another story for you tomorrow for day 5. In the meantime, go hug somebody you love, because, hugs and love, they're right up there with the whimsy. Bye.